Huge day for MAHA. Welcome to the National Briefing. I'm Kelly Nash. And yes, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. did not, I'll repeat, did not get what he actually wanted yesterday. But we got some big stuff. Coming up in just a few moments, I'm going to play the longest audio clip I think we've ever played. It's almost 2.5 minutes long. It's from a testimony given in front of Congress yesterday about an unpublished study that it's so frustrating because the study confirms a lot of people's fears. It was conducted by pro-vaccine people in order to prove that vaccines are safe. And well, you know what? We'll get to that in just a moment. Yesterday, there was also an executive order signed by Donald Trump. And this is not what RFK Jr. had wanted. He wanted a total ban on advertising directly to consumers. We're one of only two countries, apparently, New Zealand being the other, that allow pharmaceutical companies to talk to you directly and put these ideas in your head that if you took this pill or you took this shot, your life would be significantly better. And we've been doing that for a number of years. What we got yesterday was an executive order that reverted us back to our 1997 and previous years' laws, which was that the pharmaceutical companies, if they attempt to market to you directly, they also have to tell you all of the potential side effects at that time. In 97, they changed it to where you could call a toll-free number or you could see our ad in Rolling Stone magazine for a list of potential side effects. Magazines, by the way, for those of you not old enough to know, these are almost like books, except they're like glossier. They're very popular back in like waiting rooms when you'd go to the doctors. Before we had phones, we would look at these things. And so I remember reading a magazine and there was some sort of drug advertisement and it had 4 pages of potential side effects if you took this. 4, but guess what that did? Made people a lot less likely to ask their doctor, hey, you know what? I'd like to try this thing that has a potential side effect of death, massive headaches, blindness, and some other things I don't want to talk about right now. Anyway, when we changed that law in 97, boom, the prescriptions really started ramping up. And as of right now, some people would say the United States is overprescribed. I don't know. I'll read to you from Yahoo. The United States leads the global pharmaceutical market with 48.9% share of total pharmaceutical revenue. Basically, half the revenue for pharmaceuticals comes from the United States. You and I make up 4% of the earth, yet we spend 50% of what pharmaceuticals make a year. That is an unbelievable amount of drugs that we're taking right now. So we got the executive order. It also makes people like influencers, like, because that's like been the hot thing for like a couple of years now. The influencers on Facebook and TikTok and Instagram and whatnot, and they'll tell you about this drug. They're going to have to put it in there as well. I'm being paid to talk about this. This is not just me saying, hey, let me turn you on to something that I found. Let me turn you on to something that I found that I'm being paid to tell you about. And then they're going to also have to go through and announce all the potential side effects. So their little, 60-second videos are going to be 5-minute videos now. With that in mind, that's great news. Great news. Hopefully we can start clamping down on the prescriptions and just allow the doctors to tell us what they think is best. You and your doctors come up with it together. But the testimony of Aaron Siri, he's a lawyer who has been involved, though, in the medical field for decades. He's testifying that back in the late 90s and early 2000s, he was working with a guy at Henry Ford, one of the top medical clinics on earth, and was trying to say, listen, you want to shut up these anti-vaxxers? You have an opportunity because you guys actually deliver babies here that don't get any vaccinations. You could study them and study the ones that get the vaccine routines and then put it in the face of the anti-vaxxers and say, look at how much healthier the vaccinated kids are. The guy said, let's do it. They did it. Here's what happened, according to Aaron Siri.
Dr. Marcus Service, who is the head of infectious disease, he is conducts clinical trials for vaccines, including for the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine. He's avowedly pro-vaccine. He recruited a chief epidemiologist and 2 statisticians within Henry Ford to do so. These were mainstream scientists who no doubt held orthodox views regarding vaccines. In early 2020, I received a copy of the study. It showed the results of the analysis comparing children enrolled in Henry Ford from 2000 to 2016 from birth onward who had no vaccines compared to those who had 1 or more vaccines. The study was based on actual medical records, meaning finally a large vaccinated versus unvaccinated study using health data from a major United States health institution, something, as the IOM pointed out, never existed before. The study began by explaining it set out to reduce vaccine hesitancy by assuring parents the CDC vaccine schedule is safe. Instead, what these researchers found was that vaccinated children had 4.29 times the rate of asthma, 3.03 times the rate of atopic disease, 5.96 times the rate of autoimmune disease, and 5.53 times the rate of neurodevelopmental disorders, which included 3.28 times the rate of developmental delay and 4.47 times the rate of speech disorder. There were 262 cases of ADHD in the vaccinated group, and there were none in the unvaccinated group. These findings were troubling, including because these chronic health issues can be caused by immune system dysregulation, and vaccines can cause immune system dysregulation. Citations for this are in my written submission. Overall, the study found that after 10 years, 17% of the unvaccinated children had a chronic health issue, while 57% of the vaccinated children had at least one chronic health issue, often multiple. That's 17 versus 57%. We have repeatedly urged Dr. Zervos and Lamoretta to submit the study for publication. They have affirmed the study was well designed and conducted, but Dr. Zervos has said he doesn't want to lose his job. And Dr. Lamoretta has said she does not want to make doctors uncomfortable. This is a real-world example of how the science around vaccines gets corrupted, how only studies that confirm the beliefs and policies that vaccines are safe get published. Everything else gets shoved in a drawer. This selection bias is dangerous and results in corrupting all the science concerning vaccine safety.
10,000 children studied for decades, and he gave you a lot of specific numbers, but basically it was 4 to 5 times more likely that you would develop some sort of health issue, including autism, including ADHD, a lot of these, asthma, 4 to 5 times more likely if you followed the CDC's recommended vaccine schedule. And they shelved it. They shelved it. So when people call you a kook because you say, I'm vaccine hesitant, you're not a kook. You're actually being responsible. You're trying to get more data. That's the kind of data that we need. And I'm not saying that I wouldn't recommend getting vaccinated, maybe even following the CDC's. We need more information, not less. We don't want these studies shelved. The guy said he was afraid of losing his job at Henry Ford if I put this study out there. Are you in pursuit of the truth? Are you in pursuit of trying to make people healthy, or are you just in pursuit of profits? Right now, all indications are they don't give a rip about your health. They only care about profits. I don't want it to be that way, but that's the way it seems. And so I would love to follow the science. Right now, we don't have science to follow, apparently. We have hit or miss studies. We have garbage research. We have a bias towards trying to get you on more medicines. Let us follow the science. How is it that Americans, during COVID, for example, why are we burning the CDC to the ground? During COVID, we're, again, 4% of the population, yet like 22% of the deaths that happen from COVID happen here. Why? Why are Americans sicker than just about any place else on earth? Could it be it has something to do with the pharmaceutical companies? It could be. It might not be. But we don't know because we don't follow the science. For those of you who want to follow the science, I agree with you. Let's get some real science done.